The ocean was quiet that morning. Too quiet. A luxury yacht moved slowly across the deep blue water. Everything looked peaceful, but peace was only on the surface. At the back of the yacht stood an old black man. His name was Samuel. Samuel was tall, but age had bent his back. His hands were rough, like they had worked all their life. His eyes were calm, but full of stories no one asked to hear. He looked at the sea, not with fear, but like the sea already knew him. Behind him, a woman watched silently. Her name was Linda. She was young, well-dressed, and smiling. But her smile did not reach her eyes. Her eyes were cold, sharp, waiting. Samuel trusted her. She was his son's wife. Family. He never thought she could hurt him. Linda walked closer. Her heels clicked softly on the wooden floor. Each step slow. Careful. Beautiful day, isn't it? She said. Samuel nodded. Yes, he replied. The sea reminds me of home. Linda laughed lightly, but inside her chest, her heart was beating fast. This was the day. She had waited for this moment for months. Samuel did not see her hands shaking. He did not notice her breathing change. He did not see the anger hiding behind her smile. He trusted her too much. Linda leaned against the rail and looked at the water. You know, she said, some people don't know when it's time to let go. Samuel turned to her slowly. What do you mean? She smiled again. A fake smile. I mean, the world belongs to the strong now. Samuel stayed quiet. He had heard words like this before. His whole life. Linda looked at him up and down. His dark skin. His old clothes. His quiet voice. In her mind, she had already judged him. A poor black old man. Useless. In the way. She thought money should never belong to someone like him. What she did not know was that Samuel owned everything. Linda stepped closer. Now she was right behind him. Her voice dropped low. My husband wants the inheritance, she whispered, and you are standing in our way. Samuel's heart skipped. Inheritance? He opened his mouth to speak, but before he could turn, Linda pushed him. Hard. Samuel lost his balance. The world spun. The sky flipped upside down. In 1 second, everything changed. His body hit the water. Cold. Dark. Silent. The sea swallowed him. Linda grabbed the rail and looked down. Her chest rose and fell fast. She waited. No scream. No splash again. Nothing. Only waves. She smiled. It's done, she whispered to herself. Inside her head, she was already rich. Already free. She walked back inside the yacht like nothing happened. She fixed her hair. She fixed her dress. She poured herself a drink. No one saw. No one knew. Or so she thought. Under the water, Samuel opened his eyes. His body was weak. His lungs burned. But his mind was clear. So this is how they want it, he thought. Memories rushed through him. Years of racism. Years of silence. Years of being underestimated. People always thought he was nothing. But Samuel was not nothing. He kicked slowly. His arms moved with pain. The sea pulled him down. Then suddenly, a shadow. A boat. A voice. Hey, someone is in the water. Strong hands grabbed Samuel's arm. He was pulled up. Air rushed back into his lungs. He coughed. He gasped. He was alive. A fisherman stared at him in shock. What happened to you? The man asked. Samuel looked back at the yacht far away. His eyes changed. Not fear. Not sadness. Power. She thinks I am dead, Samuel said quietly. Let her believe it. The fisherman did not understand. But he nodded. Sometimes silence was safer. As the small boat moved away, the luxury yacht disappeared into the distance. Linda stood on deck, holding her phone. She called her husband. It's over, she said softly. We can move forward now. But far away, Samuel closed his eyes. This was not the end. This was only the beginning. Because the sea did not take him. And when Samuel came back, everything would change. The fisherman did not ask many questions. He wrapped Samuel in an old blanket and gave him water. The sea was still moving, but Samuel was no longer in it. Samuel sat quietly on the small boat. His clothes were wet. His body was tired. But his mind was awake. Very awake. As the boat moved toward land, Samuel looked at the sky. The clouds were slow. Calm. Just like him. People always thought silence meant weakness. They were wrong. Samuel had lived his whole life in silence. Years ago, he was not an old man on a boat. He was a young black boy with bare feet and big dreams. He grew up in a small coastal town. His father was a dock worker. His mother cleaned houses. They taught him one thing early: work hard, speak less, watch everything. Samuel remembered his first job. He was 15. He carried heavy boxes at the port. White men shouted orders. They never learned his name. They called him boy. He never answered back. But he learned. He watched how ships moved, how cargo was counted, how money changed hands. While others talked, Samuel listened. By 25, he saved enough to buy one old boat. People laughed. A black man owning a boat, they said. Samuel smiled and kept going. Years passed. One boat became two. Two became 10. He never showed his success. No big house. No gold chance. No loud words. Money came quietly. Power came quietly. By the time his son was born, Samuel owned docks, ships, and contracts. But his name was hidden behind papers and partners. He wanted a simple life for his family. He trusted people too much, especially his son and his son's wife. Linda. Back on the fisherman's boat, Samuel closed his eyes. He remembered the first time he met her. She smiled big. She hugged him fast, but her arms felt cold. She never called him Dad. She said his name slowly, like it did not belong in her mouth. At dinner, she talked about money, about status, about better people. Samuel saw it, but he stayed quiet. Silence was his shield. The boat reached shore. The fisherman helped Samuel walk. "You want the police?" the man asked. Samuel shook his head. "No," he said. "Not yet." He pulled out a phone from the blanket. It was still working. Only one number mattered. He dialed. After one ring, a voice answered. "Mr. Samuel?" Samuel smiled. "Yes," he said. "It's time." The voice on the other end went silent. Then, "Are you safe?" Samuel looked at the sea one last time. "I'm alive," he said. "And that is enough." He hung up. That night, Linda slept peacefully. She dreamed of big houses, new cars, her name in magazines. She believed the old black man was gone. But across town, in a quiet room, Samuel sat clean and dry. New clothes, warm food. His lawyer stood in front of him. "All assets are secure," the lawyer said. Nothing moved. Samuel nodded. "They will try," he replied. Greed never sleeps. He stood up slowly. For the first time in years, he looked tired, but there was fire in his eyes. "They pushed me into the sea," he said. "So now, I'll let the sea wash away my silence." The lawyer hesitated. "What is your plan?" Samuel walked to the window. He looked at the city lights. "They think I am dead," he said. "Let them celebrate." A pause. "Then we watch," he continued. "We listen. We collect." He turned back. "And when the time is right." His voice was calm, but dangerous. "We return." Outside, the ocean kept moving. Linda did not know it yet, but the man she tried to erase was about to rewrite everything. Linda was never afraid of silence. She was afraid of losing control. The morning after the yacht trip, she stood in front of the mirror. She adjusted her hair. She practiced her smile. A calm smile. A sud smile. The kind of smile people believe. Downstairs, her husband sat at the table. His eyes were red. He had not slept. "Are you sure?" he asked quietly. There was no body, no sign. Linda walked over and placed her hand on his shoulder. "The sea takes everything," she said softly. It was an accident. Her voice did not shake. Her eyes did not blink. Inside her mind, she was already counting money. She remembered where it all started. Years ago, before the wedding, she searched everything. Family records, old papers, hidden names. That was when she learned the truth. The old black man her fiancé called Dad was not poor. He was not weak. He was not simple. He was rich. Very rich. Ships, land, companies. But no one knew. Linda felt anger rise in her chest. Why does someone like him deserve all that? She thought. A quiet black man who never shows power? She believed money belonged to people who looked like her, who spoke loud, who took space. From that day, her plan began. She smiled at family dinners. She brought gifts. She asked questions. Slowly, patiently, she told her husband what he wanted to hear. "Your father hides things from you. He doesn't trust you. He thinks you're not good enough." Seeds of doubt. Seeds of anger. Her husband changed. He loved his father, but he wanted respect. He wanted control. Linda pushed him gently, like she pushed Samuel. Back in the present, Linda picked up her phone. She called the lawyer. "We need to move fast," she said. "My father-in-law is gone." A pause. "Unfortunate," the voice replied. "But the documents." "I know," Linda cut in. "That's why I'm calling." She hung up and smiled. That evening, she hosted dinner. Friends laughed. Wine flowed. No tears. No sadness. Only celebration. Someone asked, "How's your husband?" Linda sighed softly. "He lost his father," she said. "It's hard." Her eyes filled with tears, right on time. Everyone believed her. That night, she went into the office. She opened drawers, folders, files. She signed papers she did not fully read. Her hands were fast, too fast. She did not know every signature gave something away. Not to her, but back to the man she tried to kill. Linda stood tall. She felt powerful. She felt untouchable. Across the city, in a quiet room, Samuel watched everything. Screens showed numbers, messages, movements. He did not rush. Rushing was for the weak. The people around him spoke in low voices. "She's making moves," one said, "trying to take control." Samuel nodded slowly. "Let her," he replied. He remembered her eyes on the yacht. Cold, empty. He remembered the push. He touched his chest. Not anger, clarity. "She thinks I was the problem," he said. "But I was the wall." The room stayed silent. "She hates what she doesn't understand," Samuel continued. "And she doesn't understand patience." Days passed. Linda grew bolder. She spoke louder. She ordered people around. She stopped pretending. Her real face came out. At work, she insulted staff. At home, she controlled her husband. "You would be nothing without me," she told him one night. He said nothing. He had learned silence from his father. But Linda misunderstood silence. She thought it meant defeat. One evening, she stood on the balcony, holding a glass of wine. She looked at the sea in the distance. She laughed. "I won," she whispered. But far away, Samuel stood too, looking at the same sea. Only his smile was different. Because Linda believed the story was over. She did not know. This was the part where the trap closes. The world believed Samuel was gone. No news. No body. No questions. Time moved on. And that was exactly what Samuel wanted. He stayed hidden in a quiet place near the harbor. Not a big house. Not a fancy room. Just a small apartment with one window and a view of the sea. Every morning, Samuel woke before sunrise. He sat in a chair and listened. The waves, the wind, the city waking up. He was alive, and that alone made him powerful. People around him spoke in low voices. Lawyers, accountants, men who once ignored him. Now they listened. "She is moving fast," one of them said. "She thinks she has control." Samuel nodded. "She always needed noise to feel strong," he replied. "I don't." On the other side of the city, Linda felt unstoppable. She walked into offices like she owned them. She signed papers without fear. She spoke with sharp words. People whispered behind her back. She changed. She's cold now. Linda did not care. Power had finally chosen her. Or so she believed. One afternoon, she received a call. "The board wants to meet," a voice said. Urgently. Linda smiled. "Good," she replied. "They're finally ready." She did not know the meeting was not called by the board. It was called by Samuel. In the meeting room, people sat quietly. Folders in front of them. Screens turned off. Linda entered late. On purpose. She looked around and smirked. "Let's begin," she said. "I don't have all day." A man stood up. "We need to review recent changes," he said. Linda waved her hand. "Everything is legal," she replied. "My husband and I are in charge now." The man clicked a button. A screen turned on. Names appeared. Dates. Signatures. Linda leaned forward. Something felt wrong. "These transfers," the man continued, "returned ownership to the original holder." Linda frowned. "That's not possible." Another man spoke. "It is," he said. "You signed them." Linda's heart skipped. "Where is he?" she asked sharply. "Where is the man behind this?" The room stayed silent. Then, the door opened. Slowly, a familiar voice filled the room. "Right here." Linda froze. Her breath stopped. Samuel walked in. Alive. Calm. Standing tall. The color drained from her face. No, she whispered. Samuel looked at her. Not with anger. Not with hate. With disappointment. You pushed me into the sea, he said quietly. But you never pushed me out of my life. Linda stepped back. This is impossible, she said. You were dead. Samuel smiled. That was your first mistake, he replied. You believed what you wanted. The room stayed silent. Every eye was on him. Samuel walked to the head of the table. He placed his hands on it. This company, he said, was built on patience. He turned to Linda. And you lack it. Linda's voice shook. You planned this, she said. Samuel nodded. From the moment you showed me who you were. She laughed nervously. You have no proof. Samuel raised his hand. A screen turned on again. Video. Audio. Her voice. My husband wants the inheritance. Her push. The room gasped. Linda screamed. That's illegal. Samuel's voice stayed calm. So it was attempted murder. The guards entered. Linda backed away. Her power faded in seconds. As she was taken out, her eyes met Samuel's. For the first time, she felt small. Later that night, Samuel returned to the harbor. He stood where the fishermen once pulled him from the water. The sea moved like nothing had happened. He smiled softly. Some storms are silent, and the most dangerous men are the ones who survive quietly. Linda had never felt fear like this before. Not loud fear, not screaming fear. This fear was quiet, the kind that sits in your chest and refuses to move. She sat alone in a white room. No windows, no mirror, just a table, a chair, and silence. Her phone was gone. Her voice felt small. For the first time in her life, no one was listening to her. Minutes passed, or hours. She didn't know. On the other side of the building, Samuel sat calmly with his team. No shouting, no smiles, only focus. She is breaking, one man said. She didn't expect this. Samuel nodded. She never expected consequences, he replied. He looked down at a folder in front of him. Inside were years of documents. Not just business papers. Messages, emails, voice notes. Linda's real voice. The voice she never thought would matter. She thought power was loud, Samuel continued. But power waits. Back in the white room, Linda pressed her hands together. She replayed everything in her mind. The yacht, the push, the sea. She told herself it was necessary. He was in the way. It was us or him. That was the story she believed. The door opened. A man walked in slowly. Your lawyer will see you soon, he said. Linda looked up sharply. Good, she replied. Because this is a mistake. The man paused. Is it? He asked. He left. Linda's breath became fast. For the first time, doubt entered her mind. What if Samuel planned this? No. Impossible. He was quiet. Old. Invisible. That's what she believed. Meanwhile, Samuel walked through the building halls. People stepped aside. Not because he demanded it, but because they felt it. Calm authority. He stopped outside a door. This is the moment, his lawyer said. You sure? Samuel smiled softly. She made her choice, he replied. Now she lives with mine. Inside the room, Linda was finally allowed to sit with papers in front of her. Thick papers. Too thick. She flipped pages fast. This makes no sense, she said. These transfers, these clauses. The lawyer spoke calmly. You signed them. I didn't agree to this. You didn't read them. Her hand shook. This isn't fair, she whispered. The lawyer leaned forward. Neither was pushing an old man into the sea. Her face went pale. You can't prove intent, she snapped. The door opened again. Samuel walked in. Slow. Steady. Linda stood up, so fast her chair fell. You, she shouted. Samuel did not respond. He sat down. You wanted control, he said quietly. So I gave you space to take it. Linda laughed wildly. You tricked me. Samuel looked at her. No, he said. You revealed yourself. He slid a folder toward her. Inside were recordings. Her voice again. He doesn't deserve it. We'll be rich. No one will miss him. Linda covered her ears. Stop, she screamed. Samuel stood up. You thought I was weak because I was quiet, he said. You thought silence meant fear. He leaned closer. Silence was preparation. Her knees gave out. She sat back down. Outside the room, news began to spread. Not rumors. Facts. Documents leaked. Witnesses spoke. The fisherman told his story. Linda's perfect image started to crack. Sponsors pulled back. Friends stopped calling. Her husband watched everything on a screen. His hands shook. "What do we do?" he whispered. But it was too late. Back in the room, Samuel turned to leave. Linda looked up at him, tears streaming. "You ruined me," she cried. Samuel stopped at the door. "No," he replied calmly. "You ruined yourself." He opened the door. As he walked away, Linda screamed. But her voice no longer had power. Outside, Samuel stepped into the light. The sea was far away now. But the lesson was close. The trap was closed. And what came next would be justice. The courthouse was full. Cameras, reporters, whispers. Everyone wanted to see the woman who tried to erase a man. Linda walked in wearing a dark suit. Her face was pale. Her eyes searched the room. She did not see friends. She did not see support. Only strangers. Only judgment. Across the room, Samuel sat quietly. No bodyguards. No show. Just him. The same old black man they once ignored. But now everyone watched him. The judge entered. Court is in session. Silence fell. The case began. Linda's lawyer spoke first. He used big words. Long sentences. Accident. Confusion. Misunderstanding. Linda nodded slowly. She wanted to believe it too. Then Samuel's lawyer stood. He did not raise his voice. He did not rush. "Your Honor," he said, "this case is not about money." He paused. "It is about intent." Screens turned on. Video filled the room. The yacht. The push. The fall. A gasp moved through the crowd. Linda's breath stopped. "That video was edited," her lawyer shouted. The judge raised a hand. "Continue." The fisherman took the stand. His hands shook. "I saw him fall," he said. "I saw her stand and watch." The room stayed silent. Linda stared at the table. Then the audio played. Her voice. Clear. Cold. "My husband wants the inheritance." Her husband lowered his head. He could not look at her. Tears rolled down Linda's face. Not regret. Fear. Samuel stood when asked to speak. He walked slowly to the stand. The room leaned in. "I live my life quietly," Samuel said. "I believed silence kept peace." He looked at Linda. "I was wrong." His voice did not shake. "She thought I was weak," he continued, "because I did not fight loud." A pause. "But survival is also strength." People nodded. The judge listened closely. "Why didn't you report earlier?" the judge asked. Samuel replied calmly. "Because I wanted truth," he said, "not noise." The courtroom stayed still. Then the verdict came. Guilty. One word. Heavy. Linda collapsed into her chair. Cameras flashed. Reporters rushed. Outside, crowds waited. Samuel walked out into the sunlight. A reporter shouted, "Do you forgive her?" Samuel stopped. He turned. "Forgiveness is personal," he said. "But justice is public." The crowd went quiet. Linda was led away. Her face empty. No power left. That night, Samuel returned to the sea. Not the yacht. The shore. He stood barefoot on the sand. The waves touched his feet. He closed his eyes. He was still here. And tomorrow, the world would hear his final lesson. The world moved on fast. News cycles changed. New stories replaced old ones. But some stories do not fade. They stay. Linda sat alone in a small room now. No meters. No designer clothes. No control. The walls were gray. The air felt heavy. For the first time, silence scared her. She replayed everything in her head. The yacht. The push. The moment she thought she won. She had believed money could erase people. She had believed power belonged only to the loud. She was wrong. Very wrong. Across the city, Samuel stood in front of a community center. Children laughed around him. Elders smiled. No cameras. No reporters. This was where he wanted to be. He donated everything he once hid. Not to show off, but to heal. Schools. Ports. Training programs. Opportunities. People asked him why. "You could enjoy the rest of your life," one man said. "You earned it." Samuel smiled softly. "I did enjoy it," he replied. "By surviving." He looked around. "I want them to survive too." His son stood nearby. Quiet. Ashamed. "I didn't see her," the son said. "I didn't see what she was." Samuel placed a hand on his shoulder. "Love can blind," he said, "but truth opens eyes." They stood together. Not broken. Learning. That night, Samuel returned to the shore again. The same sea. But this time it felt different. It did not feel like danger. It felt like balance. The sea had not taken him. It had tested him. Linda, on the other hand, stared at the same sea through a small window far away. She had lost everything. Money, status, name. People who once praised her now avoided her. She whispered to herself, I was smarter than him. But deep inside, she knew the truth. She underestimated silence. She underestimated patience. She underestimated a black man who learned to survive in a world that tried to erase him. Weeks passed. Samuel's story spread, but not like gossip. Like a lesson. People talked about dignity, about restraint, about quiet strength. They talked about how the man never screamed for revenge. He waited. Linda received one final letter. No threats, no anger, just words. I hope you learn what power really is. It is not control. It is character. She folded the paper slowly. For the first time, she cried real tears. Not because she was caught, but because she finally understood. Some people do not need to shout. They let time speak. The final scene was simple. Samuel walked away from the water. The sun rose behind him. A calm man. A survivor. A reminder. You can push someone into the sea, but if they know how to swim through storms, they will return. And karma always returns too.